Hi, I'm congressional candidate Joe Kopsick. It can be difficult to put numbers in the hundreds of billions, trillions, and tens of trillions into perspective. Lately, U.S. congressmen such as Paul Ryan and Michelle Bachmann have been barraging the American people with Ross Perot-like quantities of charts and graphs to illustrate facts which pertain to the national budget. But using examples like stacking dollar bills up to the moon, loading dollar bills onto a boxcar, and paying out $1 per second for a given period of time only serve to make our national debt and our federal budget seem more daunting. I hope that what I'm about to say will help clarify the issue. Right now, the accumulated national debt of the United States federal government is just above $14.3 trillion. If the Congress does not borrow an additional $2 trillion in the coming weeks, then, by late July, the national debt will be $15 trillion even. This year, the annual gross domestic and gross national products are about the same amount as the national debt, right around 15 trillion. The annual budget of the federal government is just above a quarter of that, 3.82 trillion. Federal revenue is at just above 2.17 trillion, giving the federal government an annual deficit of nearly 1.65 trillion. This means that the annual federal deficit which we are running is causing the national debt to increase by about 12% per year. With a gross domestic product of just over 15 trillion and a population of 311.4 million, the gross domestic product per capita is just above $48,000. There are 118 million households in the US, and the median household income is about $50,000. What this means is that the average American household pays just under $10,000 a year in federal personal income taxes and just over $10,000 a year in state and local personal income taxes. For the vast majority of earners in the U.S., the average marginal tax rate representing revenue which goes to the federal government is just above 19.5%. Federal personal income taxes, which total about $1.15 trillion, make up about 53% of total direct federal revenue. If the federal government wanted to stop all borrowing and solve the annual deficit through a permanent increase in federal personal income taxes, it would have to raise the average personal marginal tax rate representing revenue going to the federal government from 19.5% to 47.3%. This would mean that, instead of the average household paying just under $10,000 a year in federal personal income taxes, it would pay nearly $24,000 per year. Assuming state and local personal income tax rates were to remain the same, the average household would only be able to keep just under $1 out of every $3 of personal income. If the federal government wanted to address the annual deficit without increasing federal personal income taxes, it would have to permanently raise all other federal taxes by more than 161%. If the federal government wanted to address the annual deficit by increasing both personal income taxes and all other federal taxes equally, it would have to permanently increase all federal taxes, including income taxes, by nearly 76%. In this scenario, the average amount of federal government revenue coming from personal household income would increase from just under $10,000 to just over $17,000. Assuming state and local personal income taxes were to remain the same, the average household would be able to keep just under 9 out of every $20 of personal income. If the federal government were to decide that it wants to pay off the entire accumulated federal debt of approximately $15 trillion in a single year, it would have to eliminate all state and local taxes, suspend all federal government spending on programs, including defense, entitlements, etc., commandeer the entire economy, represented by the gross domestic product, which is all the revenue earned by individuals, business, and governmental entities within the borders of the United States, and force all households, companies, and state and local governments to survive on what little accumulated savings they may have stored away. And judging by the way things are going with Obama, that doesn't sound like such a far-off prospect. I hope that helps put things into perspective.